Okay, we're live. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Attica City Council, 210 of 25. Would the clerk please call roll?
Mayor Grant,
Present.
Mrs. Carnahan,
Present.
Mr. Moss,
Present.
Mr. Voorhees,
Present.
Mr. Smith,
Present.
Mr. Roderick,
Present.
Attorney Bars,
Present.
Junior Counsel Morgan Wood,
Here.
Lillian Irwin, Jocelyn Barnett,
Here.
Grace Hiller, Caden Ashley. Mayor,
Okay, we'll go ahead and try this again. We tried to elect the council president at the last meeting, and we decided to go ahead and move that out till tonight. So at this time, I'd like to take motions for a council president.
Mr. Grant, I'd like to make a motion that Mr. Voorhees be considered for council president.
We have a motion for Mr. Voorhees. Do we have a second to that? Being no second, do we have a motion for anyone else?
I have a motion for Mr. Moss.
Have a motion for Mr. Moss. Do we have a second for that?
And we have, so I'm gonna have to make the decision then?
Do we need a motion? We'll vote, but we need a motion for a second,
So
for
y'all are-
whoever it is.
So y'all are setting me up for some hatred is what I'm hearing, that's what I'm hearing.
I'm going to make this easy. I'm going to withdraw myself. I appreciate the opportunity, but I will make a second for Nathan Moss.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for Nathan Moss to be the council president for 2025.
Congrats.
We haven't voted yet.
Oh.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, sounds unanimous.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations,
My bad.
Mr. Moss. Thank you,
Thank you, guys.
Scott, for doing it for the last year. There's more to it sometimes than people think. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting? The only one I had was January 13th, which would be last month's regular council meeting. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for January 13th, 2025 as written.
Have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Do we have, I'm sorry.
can you sign?
Oh, sure.
I did have a sticky on it. Oh, you did it on both sides.
Is that bad?
Go ahead and sign it.
You know me, I'm all about saving paper, Joanne.
I know.
I love it, good job, save tree.
See, if I'd have done that, it'd been twice as many sheets.
Yep.
Any citizens petitions tonight? Ma'am, did you have something? This is the time if you're here to speak to us about something.
Pardon
Okay,
me? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, then I came here about a year ago to talk about directional signs.
could you
for-
please state your name for
My
the
name's
record?
Jamie Miller
Jamie Miller, okay.
with Badlands.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I remember,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking for my email to you, Scott. So we had requested permission to put some directional signs. We'll be doing, placing the interstate signs as you exit 74. There'll be, you know how there's those big blue signs that have all the different logos. So we'll be implementing those as directional signs to Badlands. But in order to do that, we have to have directional signs that will then further guide people for the turns. So there are 2 locations that we had requested permission for, and you guys granted it. I just need we've been kicking this dang project down the road forever and just need to get it done. So just needed an email that says, yes, they're good to go, so I can send it to the state.
I found the record where we approved that on 8/14 of 23.
Oh gosh, it's been a while.
So it's been a while ago, but I will get you out an email. And I'm pretty sure I don't know that I have your email, but I know I have Kyle's.
Okay, yeah.
So I'll
I
get
can
that
just
out and
Give
send
you
it to
my
you.
card.
That'd be
You
fine.
will. I
Yeah.
love Kyle, but he's a busy guy. So.
You may miss it, is that what you're
It'll
telling
get
me?
buried in 50 emails. in
All right,
like 10
yeah, if you want to
minutes.
leave that, I'll draft that email and get it sent out to you.
Perfect.
That's exciting.
I think so.
Puts us on the map, doesn't it?
Yeah, literally.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I feel bad about just prancing in and prancing right back
No,
out.
that's okay.
Save you time.
Awesome. Have a good evening.
Any other citizens petitions? Ma'am, did you have something?
No.
Okay.
This here.
Committee reports, don't know of any of those. Junior council concerns reports. You guys have anything for tonight? Okay. We're gonna be just, I think, I think it was Grace that talked to the football coach about setting up something for the citywide pickup. So I'll be following up with that before too long because we've got 4 of those coming a year. So as soon as the weather breaks here, we'll probably try to get one of those set up. So
Okay.
just a heads up, if you see him and you want to let him know that, hey, it's getting close to time.
All right.
All
I'm
right,
one of his
thank you.
managers. So.
Department heads, Mr. Swank.
Getting closer on the Union Street Sewer Project. Sounds like it could potentially happen in April. Start date on it, along with the reservoir. So it looks like both of them probably be hitting around the same time. And we probably should let the community be aware of it in case there are any little hiccups that happen on this reservoir construction, because it's going to kind of be an unforeseen thing. We'll test some things over a couple week period of time with the reservoir empty, but you could still potentially have overpressurized lines and things of that nature that could, cause a few bumps in the road.
Okay, if you want to get with me, I'll be happy to get something drafted up. We'll get it on our Facebook page and I'll do a push notification. I don't want to get it out too early on the push because people forget about it by the time it comes around, but certainly do that.
Mr. Swank, I noticed that they took up the brick and doing some concrete work down on 200 block. Do you know, what are they doing?
Some things that had to be corrected, when we have done several walkthroughs. Fiber evenly showed concerns of how one of the curbs kind of kicked in, right there at the corner of Mill and Perry. So they agreed, to make the corrections there. So that's one of the things that they had removed the curb and poured the new section the other day. There's some things that are still being battled out and hashed out, but they're working on a big majority right now of what the final punch list was.
Did we get any place on the compaction test for the parking lot yet?
According to Patriot Engineering, only 2 of the core samples passed. So the rest of them did not pass. We are waiting on a response from William Charles, because their first response back to us was that Midwest Paving, which was the paving company that performed the work, said according to the Proctor test that it was good, it was acceptable. But they did not use the specified mix that our engineering firm had called for.
Okay.
So it's probably going to become a battle potentially. But HWC feels 100% that we're standing on solid ground.
No pun intended.
Yes.
Thank you.
I have a question for Mr. Swank. At the corner of Washington and South Union, there's some enormous orange pipe, and I have no idea what it's for. But if it stays there much longer, I guess I'll own it. I don't know.
Yeah. There is a crew in town right now that are doing some finishing touches on all of the boring and the spectrum fiber that they brought to town.
Okay.
And Larry has asked for me to reach out to him so that the community can be a little more familiar with what's going on. So we're trying to get some contact information for somebody to maybe even come in and present to you guys or to the mayor of what is taking place.
I've called them. They're really not available to Attica residents because of Comcast, because of the Barron laws or whatever. They won't, because I called to check
But
on
they're
it.
offering it to people out in south end of town.
Yeah, that don't make sense to me.
Yeah.
That's what they told me up on,
You know, you
Up on Foster
Google,
Drive.
or not Google, but you get on their website and you put in addresses in the south end of town. And
when
it
I
says it's
Googled it,
available.
it came up and said I was eligible for it. And when I called them, they said I couldn't because
What?
of Comcast.
So why are they doing all the?
John Dill out on McDonald Street, they contacted him. He received something in the mail from him.
It seems
With
like it should be
pricing
for
and
every
everything.
resident if it's for
Yeah,
one
but
down there.
they've never come to the council. They've never come to me, you, anybody,
Mhm.
and said, here's what we'd like to do. Here's what we're offering.
And I think actually I seen where you had told somebody about Spectrum on Facebook.
Yeah,
And that's when I
yeah.
called them. So,
Yeah,
so they're not available in Foster Drive. I know
they're
that.
not available on Fifth Street either.
Well, so back to all that hose that's just hanging out down there, could they move it down below and, back in that back lot down there?
Honestly, it shouldn't be laying there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I can reach out, or I can give you the guys.
Give me a number, I'll call them too. I have no
Number.
problem, yeah.
That you can reach out to, and he'll probably have somebody here next day take it, or if you're interested in it, he'll give it to
I'm
you.
not interested in it, no. I'm just interested in being gone,
Yep.
so.
Yeah. Don't blame you.
I was good, I had no idea.
Anything else for Mr. Swank? We'll go ahead and move on then.
I kind of have a question I have a question kind of for everybody because I want to get this out of the way now. It's February. I apologize, I wasn't here in January. I had a problem last year. I don't really care anymore about what people think. I had a problem last year overall about us giving a raise across the board. Have we implemented anything? Have we talked about anything about doing something where we look at, what's the word I'm looking for here? Merit-based? Yes. Have we talked about that at all? Is that something that, I'm not saying that they should be doing it, or anybody should be doing it. Is that something we need to take on? Is that something we're wanting to take on? Because we cannot continue to give everybody across the board the same amount of money. I'm not sure of a job that has happened. That doesn't happen at Purdue. Didn't happen at my job. Does that happen across the board at anybody else's job?
I did develop a performance appraisal sheet and sent it to these guys. I know Eric has it. I handed him a copy of it. I don't know whether you've even looked at it or not.
I know it's going to be an unpopular opinion with all of the employees. However, we don't have money. We're not like quietly producing it back here that we can just keep paying out the same amount all
Oh,
around.
come on.
I wish. I wish.
Well, and I think what we ended up on is the performance appraisal, but basically the mayor will come out with X, here's the number, this is what you have department head, and you
Love it.
distribute whatever it is. If it's
That's fine.
Yeah, and that's what-
2.4 or,
So we
whatever.
And I believe
Yes.
in our city ordinance or whatever, the mayor has the discrepancy to give a 25-cent raise.
Yeah, 20, yeah.
Above and
Without
beyond.
coming to us or anything.
Yeah, above and beyond. I've never
I just
done
want to
it.
make sure that we have it in place so that when the time comes, whenever we start doing salary ordinances or whatever that looks like, that we're prepared. Because I feel like I've talked about this for at least 3 years. I brought this up.
And I did follow through, and I did.
Oh, I
develop
don't
the
think that you
sheet.
didn't.
I did develop the sheet, and where my indigestion comes from is that if we don't have performance appraisals, you can't give raises based on performance or lack thereof, because you can't wait till the end of the year and say, well, I don't think you did a very good job this year and you need to improve here and here. So you're going to get this raise, and boy, you did a great job. You're going to get this raise. People need to know as the year goes on,
Mhm.
and that needs to be either quarterly or biannually or
But
somewhere.
isn't there a city handbook that would, an employee handbook that would cover
There
some of
is,
those?
there is, but it doesn't say that in there yet. We haven't changed that. But
I know
we-
that puts more
But the
on you guys.
decision was made at the last, when we gave out raises this year, that we were going to try to move to a merit-based system within, like she said, within a certain percentage, or Scott said, within
Yeah.
a certain percentage. Maximum raise is 5%, minimum is 2%. And these guys would decide where that needs to go. Yes. Oh, I thought you were saying something.
So basically, each department head will have
Some leeway.
some leeway where if somebody deserves 2 and somebody deserves 5, they work within their budget, but the budget's what it is.
Well, I think they should have the decision. I mean, they
Absolutely.
know who their workers
They
are,
monitor
who are
every
the
day.
best
Absolutely.
workers and who needs to be rewarded.
And you know, in the
So-
past, we've just handed out raises. You get this percent, everybody gets the same percentage. So,
Is there a set, okay, after an employee's been hired for 1 year, okay, do they automatically get, does it state that they are to get a review at that time?
no.
Actually, whatever our budget is, that's what people are hired in at. And that's probably something we should have looked at a long time ago, because if you're hiring somebody new for a certain position, they probably shouldn't start out at that wage. We probably
Well, and
should've-
we did build in some timeframes with 1 or 2
Yeah.
years experience, with 5 years.
Right.
And I don't have a copy of it in front of me, but it's available out there. But yes, it does actually say so many years on the job.
I think it's 1 or 2 years, basically,
yeah.
on some positions.
So you're not
Yeah.
actually hiring people at the maximum amount right out of the gate.
Well, the city managers are doing a great job and they probably know best. I mean, could we put it on them and have them come up with updates to the handbook and recommendations to the council to where we can approve it and have a set procedure or process?
Oh, really? That'd be great.
I'm not trying to put more work on you guys, but I figure you guys probably know better than anybody.
Well, and that's why I developed the sheet that I did, and it's not set in concrete, but at least it's a start to get people with performance evaluations, because you have to evaluate before you do anything, when you're giving out raises.
You gotta have
Well, and
documentation.
even if you can't give a raise because there's no money to give the raise, at least you have the evaluation and you document that there could be issues that they need to improve on. So it's a good way to get
Yeah,
written documentation into employee folders.
absolutely.
So,
I'll just speak on my department. Mine probably operates a little bit different, because they have monthly performance standards that they have to meet monthly. So they're being evaluated monthly. The pages that I often hand to you at the beginning of meetings, that's their monthly evaluation. That's how I'm evaluating them on the caseload that they've taken on, the activity that they've performed, the caseload that they've closed, that they follow the directives that have been set on a per month basis. And we kind of operate a little bit differently. Like, you either meet your performance standards and you meet the directives that are there. Don't let me catch them at the end of the month, because instead of not giving raises, my guys catch days off. So, in the opposite fact of not giving raises, but if they're not meeting their performance standards and the standards that we put in front of them as an administration of our department, then they're actually losing money that's coming out of their pocket. So, that's how we meet those standards. And then between longevity pay, that's how we separated that first year patrolman from that 5-year patrolman on entry level pay, as well as how much I put on your plate. The guys that get more put on their plate are in an administrative role within inside of my department, so they're getting more put on their plate, so they're being compensated for that already.
Well, that sounds wonderful, and it sounds like you've already got it addressed. But I think from a city standpoint, we're looking for uniformity across maybe all the departments, where at least there could be like, a yearly evaluation that could be put into, an employee's folder. I don't know. I have an engineering company, and so, we have consultants, and, we have to, get, performance evaluations. Sometimes they get money, sometimes they don't. Yeah.
Correct.
But you have to build the employee folder too. So I don't know.
We have
I'm just,
employee folders.
Would you guys have a preference of when the evaluations would be, quarterly or biannually?
It's a lot of work.
It's gonna be a lot of work, yeah.
You know,
I don't think, I agree. I think it's gonna be a lot of work, but we cannot continue the path that we're currently on. It just can't happen. We can't do it. And I think that we all in this room realize that, but I'm trying to prepare us for like next year and the year after, and we cannot continue to say that. Now, do I think that we shouldn't be giving raises at all? No, I think we should. That's not what I'm saying either. I think that people deserve raises, especially we've got cost of living that is continuing to go up. So that's a whole other issue that you could build in with that. So I don't want anybody to think that I feel that way either. I just want to make sure that we are all doing it responsibly, that we're trying to take care of the city responsibly, and that we're making sure that if you're doing that the way you're doing it, I'm not going to step on your toes there. Like, that makes complete sense to me. I just want to make sure money side of it, that we have even the money to back that. Because I mean, I hope that we do every year. But
Kaylee, are you asking them to rank their employees?
no, I don't want that. I don't want that.
Okay.
And I don't want to know that either, to be honest with you. I don't want to know that.
Okay, but there's a difference between a cost of living adjustment and,
I feel like the
The
cost of
merit.
living adjustment and the merit though has gone hand in hand in the last 4 years since this is my 5th year, 6th year.
But-
That it's gone hand in hand.
but
So
did they need to be caught up because they were not at a level of,
possibly
you
we
know.
have done that too. I feel like we have.
we have.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
they
gonna
got
Yeah.
a pretty hefty raise this year.
Yeah.
And
Which of course we said that couldn't be, we're not gonna.
That's
be able
not
to do that every year.
sustainable
That's
every
not
year.
Sustainable, yeah.
so again, I just was making sure that we were on board with whatever it was, the plan is out there so that we are, again, when the time comes in November, December, that we're not panicking.
well, so Kaylee, do you want to have a motion for something then?
I think
or-
we have it. I mean, do we have it in place? I don't remember. Did we say that, Scott?
We already have it in place, and then timing wise, you would obviously want this to be a September-ish, October-ish timeframe before budget and salary recommendations have to go before, and the mayor, and everything else. So I would think it would have to be in timely in that time period. We didn't specify.
So
anything like
basically, the
that.
department head would need to meet with the mayor and then give them their suggestions, and then the mayor would present that to the council, basically.
Yeah,
At the end of
Exactly.
it.
yeah, because this is a turn the
But
wheel
that's,
kind of thing,
but
know?
after you've already given out your performance evaluations. And
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
that was my point. It should never be a surprise. If you don't get a good raise, you shouldn't be surprised come raise time.
Now,
because
would
you've
you,
been
Right.
told.
would you decide what the raise would be? Because you would know the budget?
No,
Well,
but
a
you know-
department head might come to you and say, well, I think they deserve $1. And you're thinking, well, if I give them $1, I can't do this for the rest of the department. So you would
Some-
have to have a set amount in your mind before you can
I've
really.
done a little bit of research on it, and some places go on a point system. So if you have, say it's 0 to 10, and if you're at 10, you're going to get whatever the maximum amount of the raise is.
That's why I mean, you'd have
If
to have a
you're
maximum
5,
amount that you'd
yeah.
be thinking of. before
Yeah.
you can-
You get the maximum amount,
Okay.
but when you're getting the performance evaluation, that's based on your performance, and the number is tied to that, and then back to your.
So you'd have a
raise.
cost of living basically, and then you would have a performance amount
Yes.
on top of
Yeah,
that.
that's the way I
Yeah.
envisioned it anyway. But, my point is between now and budget time, when we know how much money we're going to have available for raises, which we don't today, but we do know how people are performing today.
Right.
So, if you did one mid-year, say in July, then that gives them until the end of the year to make improvements in their performance. And then you could compare that to the end of the year performance evaluation and say, look, I told you about this and you made strides
Mhm.
to get better at the end of the year. But I would just hate to sit somebody down and say, you haven't done much this year, so you're not going to get a good raise. It would be a surprise to them. It should never be a surprise
Right.
in my mind.
And I'd just like to interject, the budget process starts in July and has to be set by the end of August, and the
Yeah.
salary
And I
ordinance
just
has
threw
to be
those
approved.
numbers
I
out
know,
there.
has to be approved by the end of October,
That's what, I knew that there was some other
Yeah.
weird thing.
So it's
Yeah.
coming up quick again.
right?
Yeah.
Well, Kaylee, I think it's a good point. I think you bring up a really good point.
It's just something I feel like we've been struggling with for.
And we may not get there fully this year. you know,
I've-
just
yeah.
due to the time
Yeah.
constraints.
We've
And
been talking about it, but we haven't really.
but we need
worked out the
to,
kinks.
Hey.
we need to get these performance
It's been the same
evaluations
way
out
for 40 years probably, so yeah, it's hard to get things.
I remember
straight.
sitting down at a police hearing many years ago, and one of the officers didn't get a raise because of his performance or his perceived performance. And the first thing I asked the chief at that time was, so did you ever tell him his performance was not good during this year? Well, no. I just shot everything in the, you know, to me, you don't have a leg to stand on. If you never told this employee, whether it's a police officer, somebody out mowing, whoever, if you never told them, they may have known in the back of their mind that they weren't doing a good job, but people do what they can get away with.
I remember one year, that's before I was ever mayor or anything, but I remember one year that one council member didn't want to give the chief of police a raise. Everybody else was getting one. I remember that coming up, but it got passed. I mean, he didn't get it, but.
Might have been me. I don't know.
No, I was.
Well, I know where this might be going.
It was the guy that sat right next to you. But I remember that coming up at the meeting because I was at that meeting for something.
No, and my department's a whole lot easier at this because, you know, my patrolmen, their duties are the same, you know, unlike some other departments within inside the city, they're the same. And you got to look at mine in a little bit different manner because, you know, that team is built of diverse officers. You know, some people like, you know, internet crime. Some people do a significant amount of ordinance violations. Some people do drug trafficking. Some people do OWI. And it's that group that combines. So, you know, to put that level field across, well, I want you to have 5 of these, 5 of these, 5 of these, 5 of these. That doesn't make my department operate the smoothest.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll also tell you that if they don't carry a piece of directed equipment that I've provided for them, and that knowledge becomes available to me, or I happen to see it, then they probably won't be at work the next day, and that has a more significant impact right now. So they're getting that performance evaluation daily, because if they're not performing those duties or not following those directives, then they're going to see the repercussions of that the following day. So.
Anything else, Kaylee?
Nope.
Okay.
Seemed like a good conversation to have, though.
Yes, it was. Thank you.
Are you feeling better?
Me? A little bit better. I'm not doing that.
Chief Miller.
You gotta watch his hot button.
So we completed our
He like me.
application process. We've offered a conditional letter of employment to an officer that hopefully we will have through retirement and the paperwork we need to get done to present to you in March for swearing in. That officer is a lateral, fully trained by the NAL Law Enforcement Academy.
Nice.
Has 6 years of previous law enforcement experience, will be on an accelerated FTO program, and will offer pretty immediate.
Are you telling me we're actually attracting somebody that doesn't need to go to the academy?
I will tell you that we had 4 lateral applicants in the
Nice.
process.
That's great.
So
Yeah, that's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that.
That's
So,
really awesome.
we had four lateral applicants. We interviewed 3 of them. We presented 2 to the merit board.
Great.
But yeah, this is the first time that I know of that we're actually hiring a certified law enforcement officer to come in and go to work for us. So we'll be presenting that hopefully in the beginning of March to swear in. Zachary Alvin's still down at the academy. All indications are good, no broken bones, and everything's going good there. So hopefully have him back in the next 2 months, get him through, finish up the field training, and hopefully by summertime we have a full police force. As you guys know, we approved an 8th position in the fall of 2023 and have yet to beat 8 road officers yet. So that's a pretty good feeling. We're restructuring our training program. That training program for 2025 is going to be about 3 times what the standards are for the state. I'm not kosher with just meeting the standards, so we've enacted some programs and some tools that we're gonna be about 3 times what the recommended training rate is from the Law Enforcement Academy in 2025. So pretty excited about that. I think it gives a lot of credibility to our department, a lot of credibility to our officers as they take the stand in the training that they've had, and helps to prepare them to better perform their job. So we'll be working on that here in 2025.
I did bring up the last meeting because somebody asked me, but you guys are still following the protocol as far as you have a choice before the new year, whether you take overtime or you take
Yes, sir.
comp time. Okay,
Yes.
well, I just wanted to verify. So,
Need
Thank
to get that paperwork signed and turned into the clerk's office, but we'll get
okay,
there.
thank you.
But yes, we do operate that. They'll determine whether they want everything to go in their comp bank or they want to collect their overtime check.
Thank you.
Did you get the email that I forwarded to you with respect to the new application for new
Yes.
hire? Okay, all right. I can't remember what the deadline on it was, but it seems like it might be correlating with, okay, I just want to make sure you saw that.
Chief, I know you encumbered some money from last year. What are you capable of doing to get your vehicle problem under control? Because that's got to be so frustrating, and we're getting ready to bring on an 8th officer, but between deer and one thing after another, the chargers are done. We need to take them to a grave, but what are you going to be able to do?
Yeah, so our current status is I have a Durango that we finally paid the last payment on this year. One of those Durangos is down at Crawfordsville, intermittently switching between 4-wheel drive and 2-wheel drive while sitting in park. So it's down there. We had a Charger hit a Durango, or a Charger hit a deer last week. We just got the estimate back for it today. The gray Charger that's sitting out here is having fuse panel electrical issues that are waiting to be evaluated. Just waiting on the appointment time. That car also just had a brand new set of engine mounts put in it because the engine was getting ready to fall out of it. The current Charger that's sitting out there is basically a mode of transportation. The white Tahoe that you haven't seen sitting out there is been issued to our rookie that he used to drive back and forth to the academy because that's about where it
Most
sits.
reliable.
And Joanne probably answer this more on what the total encumbered funds were at the end of 2024. We had some expenditures there, so I don't know that direct number, but I think that we did a fairly good job of being able to overcome the expense of one vehicle from the funds that I was able to retain back last year. We were very sparing on equipment purchases, things that we bought. We just kind of did the bare minimum in preparation for needing new vehicles.
I mean, that's the point. I mean,
Hopefully we're gonna be able to get close to purchasing a full vehicle with what I encumbered last year and what I should be able to keep out of the vehicle purchase line item for this year. We should be able to have enough funds to purchase one vehicle. But I'll just tell you, I'm in dire need of 2.
Well, and that's my thing is we planned when we got the Tahoes, the Durangos were a horrible deal, and nationwide they're horrible.
The
as far as
state
liability, safety,
police
everything.
ordered 300 of
But
them.
we had
Canceled
planned
the
this
contract.
out to where we were going to get something in place to where you would get vehicles on a rotation where every year, you would start having some fall off and, keep your fleet new. I interact with you guys a lot, and sometimes knowing what vehicle they're going to have, or if they have a vehicle right now is, that's got to be frustrating for you
Well,
and for your team.
there's an officer now that is currently driving his personal vehicle back and forth to work, so that we're switching on one vehicle for that rotation because they're on opposites, and that's how it works out. But currently we have your car's Pro Crow, set it there so I can make arrangements to get it fixed and these cars work, so jump in one of these cars and.
Well, a lot of people see a lot of vehicles, but they don't realize how horrible the fleet is in many cases.
I usually see quite a few at Cinnasaws.
Yes, yes, and you know, overall, that affects my repair budget, right? You know, we've already ate through about $6,000 in repairs, and we're not completely through February yet. That's pretty rough on the budget. And I didn't approach the council last year. I knew there was a lot of expenditures. There was a lot of things going on last year. I tried to push this off as long as I could. In that plan of action where we bought our vehicles 2 years ago, I held off not even approaching last year about getting one. But it's time my hands pretty hard now.
Generally speaking, how many years can you get out of a vehicle?
We pushed for about 5 to 6 years.
And we depreciate for 5 is what we depreciate for in our
Okay.
budget.
Well, we have a 2012 Tahoe, a 2002, one 2015 Charger, and one 2016 Charger. So we've exhausted some vehicles.
They see some wear and tear.
You know, now it's becoming more expensive issues to fix on them just because they're age.
Sure. Thank you.
And we encumbered a little bit under
He
$54,000 from last year's budget.
How much?
And we're a little bit under $54,000.
So that encumbrance fund will purchase a vehicle and do about half the outfit right there. So just in budgeted funds from this year, last year's funds, and I'll be able to purchase a vehicle from my encumbered funds that I returned to the rainy day fund, or to the general, as well as this year's money, be able to buy one car and outfit it for this year. I mean, my ask would be for another vehicle and an outfit.
So you said 54 and you said that's half, so it's $100,000 to buy you a vehicle?
No, 54,000 will buy the vehicle and pay for half of the outfit.
The outfitting.
Oh, half the outfit.
What's the full cost for one?
About 70,000. But 70,000 is purchase of the vehicle and the outfit. Now, they've gone up significantly over the past
You're
year.
not gonna
so-
buy more Dodges, are you?
No, sir. No, sir.
Thank you.
I will get you all the bids you need, but one that you will not see a Dodge. bid.
So knowing how long it took you to get vehicles last time, we need to be acting on this like now because it will take you considerable amount of time.
Yeah,
to
I
get
believe it's gonna be about 2 months that Chevy will open up their build process. They open it up for about 72 hours. So we basically meet with Mark Bryant at Allstop Chevrolet. He's got all of our specs that are required for our vehicles. So as soon as it opens up, we hit the submit button and get it in, because they say they'll open it for 72 hours, but if in 24 hours they meet their quantity window, they'll shut down the window. And then they might open it in the fall. They might not open it up again until 2026.
When do they plan to open it up for this year?
May.
So I'm sympathetic to the cause here, and I know you said you got money to buy one and upfit one, or half of an upfit on one, but do we have ideas on where the money for a second one would come from? I mean, we don't
I've kind
have
of
that
exhausted.
budget.
I've exhausted my budget funds. We tried to work in this past year a vehicle. We had a vehicle purchase line item that was covering the expense of the lease payments that from vehicles we had purchased 5 years ago. And that total was about 20,000. We were trying to increase that number so that we had a budgeted line item for a purchase of a vehicle each year. But in our state report that we got back, that some of those funds as department heads had to decrease their budget, that put us too far over that the state didn't approve that budget. So that line item had to be taken.
Okay.
Chief, question on this. So you got 54K. Now, I guess I have to ask the question. Okay, there are municipalities that for whatever reason, they've got to get rid of cars and I know that where I'm going with this is you're probably thinking, okay, I don't want to inherit somebody else's problems, but for 54,000, could you get for a 2-year period of time 2 used vehicles that are in really, really good shape? I don't know if they exist or not, but then you could address with the amount of money you have something like that. And then that would give us the time then to get the real appropriations for brand new vehicles for you. It's just a question.
I think the problem lies is in the uncertainty, right?
Mhm.
You know with certainty what you're getting. We also have body camera systems that have to be inputted into those cars, rocket modems that have to be inputted into those cars, the docking stations for computers, the front and rear cameras that sync into body cameras and go into our camera devices. There's a lot of upfit costs that can go into it.
Mhm.
Not only the uncertainty of why is
Why is
that
it for sale?
municipality
Yeah.
getting rid of it 2 years in.
But if somebody was willing to warranty this, then, but obviously you want to be up. You want to be up, and the newer it is, the less problems you're going to have. But I'm just kind of thinking, if you need wheels, maybe this is an option at least. And I can tell you, I'm going to be here for 4 years, and I'll make sure to, if you can come up with something, I'll make sure to help get you the new cars and the new equipment.
I know what gets traded in the Bi-County area. And
Yeah. Well, maybe we have to go farther.
nobody wants to touch those, and then as you move out of state, you got different light packages, different light colors.
It's just a question.
And the nice part is, I don't think you're gonna get anybody to warranty them. And how has the previous department driven them? The nice thing is, with the vehicles that we're purchasing and the warranties that they're coming with today, if they have an issue, Allstop Chevrolet's been great to us. If an officer needs to drop a car off and get a ride back because there's no officer on, they'll give courtesy rides or give them a vehicle to drive here to get another police car. They get them in, but it's not costing us anything too, right?
Right.
And
Well,
But
correct
I'm just hearing that you're down cars right now. You've got electrical problems, you have other things, and so we have known issues.
Oh,
but-
and they get fixed. We navigate through them, but
Oh, okay.
what I'm saying is, and there's appointments for them. There's one down at Dodge that's gonna get fixed. But what is that impact on that repair budget line item through the course of 2025?
Because you have 8 total vehicles right now,
Correct.
but out of those 8, you're down 3. 3 are not, you can't count on 3. You got Dodge up there, you got 2 Chargers, got some problems,
And the Tahoe, that's just a
and the
mode of
Tahoe,
transportation.
right.
So is your equipment compatible across the board? Like, so let's say you've got a car that's 3 years old. Is that equipment compatible, and can it be stripped out and put into another vehicle? Okay, so you don't have to outfit with new, then you just
Most
got
of
the
the time it
technician.
changes every time a body stop changes.
Okay,
Most outfitters won't touch old product.
okay.
They just won't.
So your upfitting costs are going to be pretty much fixed, whether it's a brand new vehicle or if you went and bought a used vehicle. So if you got 2 years out of it, now you've just doubled your upfitting costs because you bought a used vehicle that only lasted 2 years instead of 3 to 5 or 4 to 5 for a new one.
So, yes,
So
sir.
that-
And so everybody's knowledge really, Mike Allstop Chevrolet donated that Chevy pickup truck that we have out there for the SRO truck. And that was for a 2-year deal. And the deal with Mike, as him and I met and shook hands, was that every 2 years he would roll us into a new vehicle. Well, the problem with that is every 2 years I've got those upfit expenses, right? I outfitted it, and then 2 years later, he gives me a new truck. Well, now I've got upfit expenses. So we actually bought that truck. The city owns that truck. I think I spoke of that at one of the council meetings. And the main goal of that, we used all funds that were budgeted already into the police budget over the course of some years, and some strategic planning. We used public safety money as it became available. And so we own that vehicle so that we can get 6 years out of that vehicle and save us 2 upfits in that window. So that there's a cost savings of $30,000 there in upfit cost by us owning that vehicle.
So you really have 2 major problems. One, you got to get a good vehicle. And then number 2, you've got to get compatible electronics and communication devices and make sure that they all talk to each other. So I mean, this is a 2-pronged problem that you have.
Yes, and all of the equipment inside of our vehicles, as soon as they pull into the parking lot, are communicating with our server inside of the police department to network all of those videos together,
Oh, cool.
as well as officer to officer and car to car. They're transmitting, so it'll actually combine, if 4 officers arrive on one scene, it's going to combine their videos into one case file. So there's a lot of communication.
And just to give a little bit of clarification on budget, which might make you feel a little bit better, John, being as that you're new and not familiar with it, is the project downtown is using a great deal of the rainy day money or the money that's been built up. However, we just reviewed the updated financial plan last month. And by the time we get out to 2027, we're actually rebuilding those funds that have been spent. This year, our revenues were lower than our budget, due to costs with projects and things that are going on.
350, right?
But that's,
Was that
no, it was a little bit less than 300, but that's going to resolve itself over the next couple of years, hopefully, unless our entire
Joanne,
revenue stream changes.
I believe we had built in this vehicle purchasing program with Baker Tilly when we first initially met.
I was gonna
with
say
them,
that, yeah.
So
So
that
it's part of this plan.
it's been part of your Baker Tilly plan.
So those numbers are in there then?
Yes,
Oh,
the
okay.
numbers are in there. It's planned for, it's all built in. I have not seen you and I've not told you, your collision deductible increased to $2,000 per incident.
Great.
Yeah, talking about budget issues, I thought I might share that.
Might need that.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on. Chief, do you have anything else for us? Go ahead and move on to Chief Little.
I will have some new business if you don't.
So to give you an update on the building project, we have accepted a bid through Silver Brothers out of Houston, Illinois. The bid came in at $829,000. $406,000 of that's going to be grant money. They were just here today actually to look at the remodel part of that, which is the interior part. High number, 240 would be max, but they're pretty sure it's going to be less than that. And there's going to be cost savings throughout the addition part that will help us save money on the remodel part. So we're going to budget for the 250 and obviously the 829. We have a meeting Wednesday with Baker Tilly and the bond group. I think is it Tom or Tim?
Tom
Tom
Pittman.
Pittman.
To come up with our scheduled payment plans and how we need to get all the paperwork done and everything else. So, project is slated to start May 1st. The alleyway here from this pole all the way to the newest concrete is going to be completely blocked pretty much until October, just so you know. There'll be fence put up by the company and everything else. I was speaking with the mayor today. We're going to let the residents of this apartment building here know, because I know some of them park back here in this gravel lot. So we'll make sure we give them plenty of time and notice that they'll have to start parking in the street or wherever they deem fit for their vehicles. I think that the whole project itself should last until, I think, December. So it's going to be a long project. So.
Yeah.
But it's needed, as many of you know. You guys have been over there, so.
Can't remember, was the generator a part of that project?
So I actually spoke with the mayor today about that as well, and I've talked with Eric about this. There was a unforeseen issue that none of us seen. The fire station is actually fed separate than the rest of the city building. It's a two totally different.
Electrical system.
Yes, but Eric and I have come up with a pretty good solution, I believe, and it's already built into the budget. He has an older generator sitting down at the city garage that was taken out from the water project. Still works. It's a great unit. So we're going to recycle that one, put it up here along with the new one that the city purchased. So there's going to be two generators sitting here, which is actually better off for us anyways, because if one of them goes down, then we have a backup and so on and so forth. So,
Is it natural gas also? Or again?
I think it's
Or it's diesel?
we'll get some techs in here and look at it and see what we can do with it. And
Chief and I talked today about possibility of converting it to natural gas. Diesels, I've dealt with those a lot at my old employment. And they're problematic in that you can't let the fuel sit forever without turning it over. And if you don't turn it over, then you got to come in and clean it. It's actually, there was bioproducts that grow inside that oil, and you want to make sure you got good clean oil.
And probably if it gets real cold too, it's probably.
You got
worse,
that.
too.
So if we can,
And they'll be on a monthly
if we can
test
convert it, that'd be
schedule.
great.
So they'll run for, I think they have to run for what, an hour and a half or 2 hours, something like that for the monthly test. You can set up however you want.
And I
So
believe,
wintertime, you can set up a little bit longer.
so we just need to extend that pad back there where they would both be right there on the same pad basically, or?
It'll probably depend upon how the.
We'll have to wait and see what the
electricians,
contractors, how they look at it and everything else.
everybody, They're talking about putting in a separate electric service just for his new.
Yeah, we have to update the wires from this pole to the building, just because it's an old, infrastructure, so it just needs to be redone.
Chief, do you have enough money in the budget for that generator upgrade? I love it that you guys are taking advantage of what we already have. That's fantastic, but there may be some costs associated with that.
Yeah.
Do you have money in that?
Yeah, so we have some money built into the proposal for the unknowns, right? But just like the police chief and Mr. Swank, I do a pretty good job about trying to hold back as much as I can throughout the year for unseen issues. So
Incidentals.
The
It's a generator
contingency,
issue.
yeah.
They're here today talking about some heating and cooling issues that we came across, and that wasn't in the initial proposed bid, but the fire department can kind of eat that cost up a little bit. We're not gonna be able to do that a lot. We can eat up a little bit of that cost to help offset from adding anything to the bond. So we do have, to answer your question, yes, we have a little bit of money built in places that we can kind of finagle around and stuff like that. So as long as
And to reiterate, these are not totally city funds. These are territory.
no, this is all
funds.
territory money. This is not coming out of the
So,
city's general. This is,
Just to be clear.
I mean, by law, technically, the city can't give the fire department money because of the way our money is brought into the
Okay,
taxes. So,
because they changed that, right?
so this is not coming out of the city's general fund. I'm not gonna be coming here saying, hey, I need an initial $20,000. So,
Well, but maybe it could be fixed if you need it and you don't have the money to fix it while it's still over in Eric's area.
yeah, the only thing that I have to talk to our city attorney about this, after speaking with some individuals who know territories much better than I do, and have the building part of it, the city owns the building, right? So technically, I think there's some language in there that, and we're supposed to have a lease, like a 99-year lease between the city and the fire territory, that the city actually takes care of building repair, not the territory.
Do we have that allocated?
So,
We do not, because we just started territory last year, so.
yeah, so this is all, just so you know, this is all still fairly new. We're still learning as we go.
So
But
we're
this- but
so
this
we're
is
gonna
some-
need to have a line item for building maintenance.
We
then.
already
We
have a
already do.
line.
We
on
already
the
do.
building.
Yeah, we've been doing
Yeah,
it
we-
for 50
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Okay,
So-
okay.
Yeah, so we're good as far as that goes. I mean, I don't know. I probably gonna need twice for some kind of repairs that need done or something like that. So it's not like it's
not big.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. But legally, we need to have a lease between the city and the fire territory since the territory doesn't own the building. And you just make it a 99-year lease, X, done.
So what,
So-
well, we can't do a lease for more than 5 years because we can't obligate a future council to an agreement,
Yeah,
but you can
yeah.
just keep renewing it and
Yeah,
renewing
you
it
just
until somebody
basically come back and
terminates
say,
it.
hey, we need this renewed.
So it'll look like 5 years, but it's
Yeah.
actually 5
And
years.
you still, the city still own, I think there's a little bit of confusion too. The city still owns the fire department and all the equipment in the fire station. It's just how the fire department gets their budget is what's different, so.
I've got two questions for Garrett, because we kind of switched over real quick. Keep it real quick. They're simple. I was looking through the expenses that Joanne supplied to us, and when I was looking in there under the police department budget, I noticed that there was hardly any money in there for reserve officers. And maybe I'm not using the right term, but somebody like Bunny or somebody like that, there was hardly any money in there that I saw. And was it under another category or something?
They don't get paid.
reserve.
We
best.
provide their equipment and we provide their uniforms,
Right.
but they work on a volunteer basis.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that.
And
Okay.
they get
cool.
a uniform allowance.
Oh, okay, okay, cool. Well, thank you. I didn't know. And then the other thing is, because since I've been on city council now, I'm getting phone calls and people meet me in the city at random times to talk about random things. And this is one that everybody, it's been brought up before, but I need to ask the question. Can you write tickets to locomotive engineers if they are blocking the interstate for more than an hour?
No, sir.
They're federal.
Okay.
The
because
railroad
We
can
fought
basically do
that,
whatever they
then
want.
you can't do anything about it.
We don't
I
have,
had
Federal
somebody,
government.
we don't have an
Chase-
interstate.
okay,
Yeah.
I just, I had somebody chase me up and down the pole on this one, and he said, no, it says state law that if they're there for more than 10 minutes, the police, chief of police can go write them a ticket. And I said, I don't know, but I'm gonna ask the question, so.
And ADM, as part, they budgeted in, they're working on something. I'm
Well,
not trying to
yeah,
fix the
I heard
problem.
that, yeah, I heard that today, I think Joanne told me that, yeah.
Just also to touch base on this, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but a lot of elevators are closing around the area. So you're actually you're going to start seeing when one train pulls out, another one is immediately going in. So there's going to be times where you even shut down even longer, just so you guys know. That's just that's just part of it.
Well, and then the other thing too, and this goes into Harrison's, okay, but of course that the train comes in and cuts Harrison right in half. And so, I've learned that the employees at Harrison's are told, don't be caught on the wrong side of the track, okay, when that happens. And so I guess, I think Joanne was telling me that they're trying to create a little bit longer spur where they can pull in a little bit further. But I mean, can they pull in far enough to get past Harrison's, do you think? Or because I wasn't here for the discussion when they came.
That was many years, that was like years ago.
It
That was
depends on the
a
length
year,
of.
It's at least a year.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember her name.
Well,
and
we
she's
passed
in
that
every one
ordinance.
against
It was
cop outs.
several, it was
It depends on the
back
length of how many cars they have. They never know, and she's got great about posting it on Facebook and hey, train alert, all this other stuff to try to let the citizens
They
know.
do a good job
It
of
is,
trying to alert
Sometimes
us.
they'll get 52 cars and sometimes it's 20.
Mhm.
So they never really know until they know a train's coming, then she posts it. Long train.
Well, was a part of their plan just to be able to scoot just a little bit, couple cars off of the interstate, or was their plan to move on down South Union and get past Harrison's? I just didn't know, and I thought somebody approached me. And,
Are you talking about, when you say interstate, you're talking about Highway 41? through
Yes,
Attica?
yes.
Okay.
So there'll be a way around it.
You keep throwing me with that.
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah.
But the space they have, they're never going to be able to not. I mean, if they could get it to not block 41, that's the critical part. But there's going to be long enough to where there's no way with the space they have to not block Harrison's somewhat.
Okay.
But at least there'll be a way around rather than have to go, add 10 minutes to an ambulance trip or anything like that. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Garrett.
I just
didn't
sent
know.
you and you, so you have it, but there was a credit card skimmer in Covington
I saw that.
last weekend, yeah, and I got a video of how they do it, but it takes them 5 seconds they distract the cashier
Yeah, it
and they
looks
just cover the
Pop it right on
Go
there.
to tap
Yeah, I
to
sent it
pay.
to you too, but I got a video
Why does have
of
to
it.
pay too?
No,
Thank you.
go to tap to pay.
Oh, okay.
But they hit 2 stores in Danville too, so we think they went up 74, and they were getting off on cities,
And
and doing it.
they're
Attica didn't
they
get
pay at the
affected.
pumps, so
Yeah.
they can pop them on there at any point.
It's pretty amazing how fast, I mean, when he sent me that video, it's
Looks
just like, it
identical.
looks exactly like your keypad, and they just pop it over it.
Wow.
You don't know any different, you're,
I'm glad
Give 'em
I
your
don't have
information.
those.
yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Just one last thing, sorry.
You talk for
So as you know, we've gotten part-time guys through this territory that's completely filled. We have full staff. The next phase that we're working on right now is actually paying volunteers per run. It's something I've been working on for a year. We just had to go through a budget cycle to see if we have some money that we can move around to cover that. I think I've found it and where we can move it. The other thing is the city's going to be applying for a SAFER grant this month with the potential of getting about $650,000 to pay these over a 5-year span. Obviously, there'd have to be a cap on it. You can't just you're paying about $10,000.
How do you value a run?
So they have matrix out there. So like a medical call would be $20, a fire would be $50, and then you just pay them out quarterly, whatever that is. So it, say they made 2 fires and 4 med runs.
So Chief, would that need to find its way into the handbook as well?
No, because we're exempt kind of from that part of it, to be honest, because they're not technically employees of the city. This is just something we're building into the budget. 1, to take care of the individuals that we have now, and 2, to entice more people to join the fire department. And because you know how it is nowadays, money makes the world go round, and people don't want to give up their time, which I get. Everybody's busy, so you have to kind of entice them a little bit to do so. But I just thought I'd share that with you guys so you're aware.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, nothing else? This is Broadwater.
I think everybody else has talked enough. I don't have anything.
Okay.
Sure, dig deep.
Mr. Bannon is not here tonight, and really don't have anything to report other than what I've sent everybody in emails regarding WEGA and where we're at with that.
What a mess.
I'm going to meet week after, not this week, but next week with the WEGA board and try to iron through some sticking points with them concerning our downtown project, or their downtown project. I guess I should say it's not really ours. So we'll try to keep everybody in the loop on that.
Larry, from the emails, it seems to me that it's actually the county that's driving WEGA, right? To then get, I was trying to kind of make sense of it all, but it seems like the county wants their share of the pie, or they want equality with the other
No,
townships.
It's not necessarily the county, it's the county members within WEGA, the people out in the outlying areas that are on the WEGA board.
They're the ones that are, okay. I didn't understand. I didn't quite understand what was going on there.
And honestly, everybody that I've talked to on the WEGA board or on the county council or the commissioners have all said that they're supportive of our projects downtown here, WEGA's projects downtown. My sticking point with them is, I'd like to see a plan moving forward and know how that's going to work. Just because you tell me you're going to do it doesn't mean that we've got a good plan. So
Typically, you have a plan before you do anything.
Yeah, without getting into the weeds here
Right.
tonight.
Well, I thought Rod Bannon had a nice rebuttal in what Attica did for and with WEGA. I thought that Rod Bannon really went through and outlined a lot of things and made people aware of what the city of Attica has done.
I went to a meeting 2 weeks ago down at the courthouse. It was a joint meeting between the commissioners and the council, and there was a lot of people there, a lot of public there, and the reoccurring theme was that why is Attica getting this and we're not? And
Because we were first.
Yeah,
We're the ones who put it together.
we're the ones that started it. We've got a lot of skin in the game, and I pointed that out in the meeting. Not to take away from anybody that's trying to better their city or their area, but there was a reason why Attica is at the head of the line here, and I tried to reiterate that those grant funds are not coming to the city of Attica. And this isn't a slush fund for WEGA to spend on whatever they want to spend here, and you get $1 million, and you get $1 million, and you get $1 million. It's not the Oprah Winfrey show. These are very project-specific funds that are coming through these grants, and they're coming for these projects, and they're not monies that can be spent other places. So I tried to reiterate that, but I still think that people are focused on the dollars and why is Attica getting this and we're not.
Is there any chance we're going to get blindsided with this?
I certainly hope not.
Is there anything we can do to protect ourselves in this process?
I've already asked our city attorneys to start looking at our legal ramifications should WEGA not fulfill their contract or we decide not to fulfill our end of the contract. And that's all I'll say.
Okay.
Judd needs to meet with you before that meeting this weekend.
What's that?
You'll be getting an email from Judd about that in the next couple days.
Unfinished business, we've already handled the Trailblazer signage approval for Perry Street for the Badlands. Eric, are we any closer to looking at somebody for the housing inspection part-time job?
I have not.
Do we need to go out and advertise that so you can get some applications in?
Yes.
Can we put it on Facebook? That
We
share?
can, but if you want to sit down with me, I'll be happy to help get something out there. And we've already got the job description, so it should be fairly straightforward on getting that. And I know you got plenty of time to interview people and
Yeah.
do all that, but I'll be happy to help with
Yeah,
that
no,
too.
fine.
So, annexation of Harrison Hills and properties south. I don't think you guys have heard any more on that either. I think probably what I'm gonna do is start making a couple of phone calls to some of those prospective landowners and see if I can help that along a little bit. Really don't have an update on the ambulance relocation process. Still waiting on what the school is gonna do. Christy Gerald is working on the grant for the building. And we're still gonna have a shortfall after, even if we get the grant on getting the building upgraded or built new, whatever that takes. But I'm confident that some of the community leaders are gonna step up and help with that process.
We might need to mention to them, especially with the issue that you just brought up about the train situation.
Everybody's well aware.
Well, I mean, but even more so now, I
Right,
guess.
but the whole process is gonna take over a year to begin with, even with the grant. So, I mean, even if you start pounding doors right now, you're still looking at a year and a half to get all this taken care of, just FYI. So, yeah,
It's
I mean,
moving
you
along.
can push the whole train thing, but, you know.
I think we should know something fairly soon from the school as far as
What they're
their plannings for that lot that I've asked them about.
Do we have anything, do we know about the school? Like, is somebody looking
No.
to buy it yet or? They
No,
haven't made up?
they're getting, the last I was told that they're getting estimates on what it's worth, appraisals, if you will, for what it's worth. I've urged everybody I've talked to with the school to consider the long-term effects rather than just the short-term effects of selling it versus giving it to an entity that's going to pump $15 million into it and possibly bring people here. So I can't reiterate that enough. But that's still up. So we're waiting in a waiting pattern for them. Next up, council redistricting mandate. That has to be done by 6:30. I think you guys already have an ordinance
We just
drafted
need the map.
for that. My proposal was to use the first map. It's got a population deviation of 2%. And it looks like it has the least impact on where we're at today.
That's the one I figured too.
I put, I gave them everybody's address that's up here and John, your new proposed address. So
Because
that-
this takes me out where I'm
no,
at.
it doesn't.
Yeah.
The number one doesn't?
Well,
does-
no, I think actually.
No,
It's a potential, because, well, basically, there's Pike, okay, so got a house on Pike Street, so it would actually cause problems, because in my district, I lose South Union and Pike. Now, I'm not there, so the only thing is.
we're talking
I'm
about
not-
where you live, not where you own.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
400.
And where you're currently living is still in this map, and where you're talking about moving up the street here.
No, it would still be in the
It's
map
still in
on
the
this
map.
one, yes.
Yeah.
But I just didn't want that to change and then be in no man's land.
If you move again after that, I can't help you, but if the two properties that I gave them are included in all these proposed maps,
Okay.
and so you will not change
When does it go into effect?
by 6:30.
Okay.
We have to have it in by 6:30.
Can I have a copy of that map? emailed to me?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'll get that ordinance for you for next time.
Let me write that down here.
Or you guys lose all of like your funding.
Do you want me to, I can just do it right now.
Consequence.
Do you should we forward it to her right
Do you
now?
have it?
Yeah, I could just forward it to her right now.
Thank you. That'd make your job more interesting.
So John, what were you alluding to that you were gonna
John's interested in
lose?
that.
You lost me there.
Well, I just got some other properties, and so there's other options, okay, so I have
Oh,
the option to move on Pike, you know, and so then
Yeah.
that's an option I don't have.
I
there.
see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but why are they taking out, I would think that the canal part would stay
I
together.
don't know your
Is there a reason why they did that?
They're just looking at the population within those areas is all. And this is what they came up with. And you know, I don't know that, like I said, I may move next week. I don't know. I'm probably gonna stay in the city, and I can't forecast where John Smith's gonna live 6 months from now or a year
Yeah,
from
well,
now.
but it's the first time I saw it too, so, you know.
You've never
I'm-
seen this?
He just
well,
got into his email.
Oh, I was gonna say, I sent this out a while back. So we have a motion to accept,
We'll do that with the ordinance.
Huh?
We'll do that with the ordinance.
okay,
Got March.
okay,
If that's okay.
okay.
Was this is the, you said this one, this was the last one, right? That was listed, the 2%?
Back to.
There's a 2% here, and then the next one's got a 2%.
Oh, I didn't see that
deviation.
number on there. Okay, okay.
Yeah, right here.
Got it.
And there's not a whole lot of difference
No.
between the two if you flip back
No,
and forth
yeah.
between them. And then this one's got a 4% deviation, and I don't think we want to go to a 4% deviation.
And there's
That's
like a
correct, yeah.
50-something
That's fine.
percent, yeah.
That one looks good to me.
Mayor, can I get you to forward me that message again? Because I can't seem to find it.
This,
Yes.
I can forward it to you. Yeah. I can do it.
I went 2 weeks without my mail. So,
Oh, that's right, you lost your phone,
so
didn't
yes, I've got some stuff that I would recapture there.
you?
Actually, I have you blocked, Kaylee, so.
Listen,
I'll
is
go ahead.
it the email here though? The,
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, it's back up
Okay,
now.
perfect.
I had a,
I
If
just
you-
sent,
if you-
let me know if you didn't.
if
get
your
it.
phone breaks and you've got to get your email set up again, you have to get them to reset your MFA. You have to, or it won't set up.
We've just got some irresponsible.
It's per
council members.
device.
I would have no idea. That's all
Just
I know.
for, and F on here is just for an update. Shepherd's Landing is going to be getting a bond to help cover the costs of the construction out there, of the infrastructure. They are responsible for that bond and paying it back. It's through the state of Indiana, so it's a very low interest bond rate. But that the city will act as a pass-through on that, which is not uncommon, I guess. But just so you know, Tom Pittman is going to be writing up the ordinance for that. Would you like for me to send that to you guys
Yes,
to
please.
review once he sends it to me? And then we'll probably have that ready for the next meeting.
Are you
it
coming to
doesn't-
that meeting on Thursday?
Yeah, got it on the calendar. So it doesn't really do anything to us other than we give it our okey dokey, but it has to pass through a municipality rather than directly to the people that are doing the development. So that's coming. Everybody's filled out the nepotism forms that Joanne handed out. The other thing I penciled in here to the new business data was I passed around an at-risk database sheet for everybody to kind of peruse. That was just my first pass this afternoon. I had a little extra time and I was trying to come up with that. But what that is if we had a catastrophic event in Attica, or if it's 20 below zero and the wind's blowing and the power goes out, we need to know where people are at that are at risk. Elderly people that don't have don't have any power and they are on oxygen, they're infirmed, that sort of thing. And this gets a database set up so that our police and fire department know who that they need to go check on, respond to. What I anticipate, there are companies that do this, but I anticipated just taking these forms. I don't look to have a lot of people fill them out and turn them in, but I was going to just take those and put them in a spreadsheet, and then these guys will have access to the spreadsheet so they know where to go. They can pull up the addresses.
It's a good idea.
So, and I was going to take this down and give it to I've got an EMA meeting Thursday afternoon, and I was going to take that down to Covington, and I've been trying to sell the county on the idea, because there are some paid databases out there that you can go online and fill all this information out and have a login and access it online and never have to do any manual work to get it done. But it's kind of expensive, and if it's going to be a countywide thing, I don't think Attica ought to foot the bill for the entire thing. So just
Well, if
something to
we,
look
and
at.
I guess, with something like that, if it's emergency, response, something, so that, we lose all of our power, tornado comes through or something, that the police, chief, both police and fire department would be notified right away that these are the homes.
Yes,
So
yes.
that would be,
They would know where to go to check on these people. Like I said, if you're on oxygen, or even if you're not, and it's 20 below zero and you don't have anybody, most of us have relatives, but there are people in town that don't. They have nobody.
right.
And those are the people that I worry about. I know that a lot of people are good neighbors and they'll go check on their neighbors and that sort of thing. But I worry about people that don't have that ability.
I think that's a good thing.
So just something I've been wanting to do for a long time.
Be nice if you could tie that in with like the Attica alert, like when you send a message out, just you can hit a button and it send it to the police or the fire department, just say,
Here's a list.
here's a list of people
Yeah.
that can be checked.
Yeah, well, they've got, like, you guys have computers in your vehicles.
Yeah,
and you
I mean,
can
there's
pull
a
up
way
the
to actually
spreadsheet.
integrate it into our CAD system and everything else, so it's just automatically pulls up.
That's nice.
Good.
I don't have anything else.
Larry, I've got one thing. You want to go first, Gary?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, go ahead, Gary.
Can we evaluate our nuisance animal ordinance exemption permit that we handed out, that we go with today?
I did get it on the agenda, but yeah, if you want to talk about that, I had a complaint today about the pigs that we gave a permit for.
Mr.
Two
Runyon?
pigs,
Mr. Runyon.
yeah, for two pigs. One of the neighbors was in today and was complaining that the litter and the feces from said pigs were being dumped out along the road. And
So
so
like
I asked,
shavings, right? Is there like shavings and stuff?
I've got some pictures.
I've got to,
Be careful.
Was it the same gentleman
I was
that
gonna
came
say-
to us?
So we responded here.
I don't need to see them. I know what they look like.
Yeah, he's the one exception we made.
I think if we were gonna make an exception, that you should have.
Well, we were pretty clear about it and taking care of it.
This is
Yes.
right out by the corner.
that's not.
Looks like a pile of shavings,
That's good.
but
That's not shavings.
that's
Mhm.
clearly identifiable. So we walked around the back, and that's currently the status of the backyard as well.
Looks like it's an issue.
And that's going to
It's
smell
causing
when it gets
some-
warm
When it
outside,
gets
too.
warm,
It's,
yeah.
that's in my
Yes.
zone. And,
Yes.
could I be given a week to get that taken care of?
It's up to these guys. We gave him a lot of leeway
Yeah.
when he came and applied to have these. Said he was only going to have two, and I don't know how many are there now, but
I thought he said he was gonna have two and he was getting ready to get rid of one. Maybe I misunderstood that.
Well, wasn't he like a shelter for
yeah,
lost
Yeah.
ones? But
yeah.
Occasionally.
yeah, occasionally.
And so we stretched, I won't say we bent it, but we stretched the rule pretty far to give him where he's at today.
And we pretty much said as long as the neighbor's not complaining, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
but he's obviously got neighbors complaining.
So I guess
There's
what is our
Yeah.
plan?
This is repeat offense, also correct. We had complaints about this prior to, and I expressed those concerns to the council. prior to us giving him grievance, and I can't recall, but we're less than a year and we're dealing with this issue.
Well, I feel like we did our due diligence.
I think we did too.
I think we tried.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I guess, as far as a written response or receiving a ordinance violation or a ticket or anything, nothing like that's happened at this point, because you had
Not a
issued a
warning or
citation
anything?
before.
I can't issue an ordinance violation because
Because he has.
Well, he was
we had issued ordinance violations prior to.
but he's had a complaint now by a neighbor.
But he's
so-
had a complaint where now you could ticket him ordinance violation
No,
now.
because you've given him a permit.
We'd have
So can we revoke
We'd
the
have to
permit?
revoke that
Yes.
permit.
Okay. All right, so I guess my question is, what do you?
6/11/24 is when it was issued.
I personally, this is one of my constituents. I know him. I know the situation. And I do think that he's not taking care of business, clearly. And I would like the opportunity to go talk to this particular constituent and let him know that this is it. And
No, I mean, this is it, like like he's done now. Like, I think that's it.
well, we haven't taken back the exemption yet.
How long's this been going on?
Quite some time, according to the neighbor.
It looks like.
We've got pictures from early 2024 prior to the exemption being issued that
And I could talk to the neighbor as well.
I know where you're at, John, and I get it, but we went way out on a limb to allow this to begin with after all the complaints that we got.
And it was the second time he'd come to us. He'd been to us a few years
Yeah,
before,
quite a few years.
and we kind of let it go, but
This is
You
kind of
can't- How many times are you
Yeah.
gonna sit up here and say, we'll give you another chance, we'll give you
Right.
another
And
chance?
the reason was because he had been issued an ordinance violation. Then he applied for the permit, so the judge extended his ordinance violation based on the council's, what the council was gonna do. They issued the permit. And so we redacted that ordinance violation. So this has been a recurring issue.
This is my first time on the council, okay, with this issue, and I know all the parties involved, and in this particular case, I'd like to try to resolve it without removing the exemption, but, and if I was given that opportunity, if we were given the opportunity to allow the exemption still to stay in place, I can guarantee you, I would be the first, if this happens again, I would be the first person that will vote to repeal it.
If we do revoke this thing, how long do we give them to get rid of the animals? 30 days, 60 days?
I mean,
What's the law say about pigs?
Honestly, I don't know how long it takes to reheal a pig, but 30 days seems
They don't
reasonable.
let you mail them anymore, unfortunately.
You can't butcher them in town.
I mean, we can go down the line, but my personal opinion is,
This,
we've already done,
Okay.
we've already done it.
Now, I'm gonna take a path here. If we do this, I hate the thought of removing his pigs.
just read this, this is what he was given back in July. And it can't be more clear.
Okay. So if I find one unruly kid in this town, I'm gonna file to have him removed, then I'm gonna give you 30 days to freaking do it.
There's a system in place. It's called Child Protective Services.
They
Yeah.
suck, but we should have
There's,
authority.
but
Johnny, how
I don't think, I mean,
Certain.
how many
You
times
can
though do
solve
you
this.
say we're gonna give you another pass?
I don't know that I can solve it because you got one neighbor that's grumpy, okay, with the pigs, and rightfully so, and rightfully so. She's grumpy, and I don't blame her.
yeah.
But they're both in my zone. They're my people that they voted for me, and I'd like to try to.
Everybody voted for you.
Well, I know.
Or didn't.
Right.
Or didn't.
Yeah, well, yeah. But based on this piece of paper that we're talking about here, these are people that are in my zone. So
No more than 2 pigs can be kept.
Those were the conditions that was laid out back in July.
I won't say anything more, except I say revoke it. So that's my thought.
Well, I think somebody would have to make a motion.
It's not a
and
motion.
move. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it after this, whatever,
Well,
when
let
they start
them
looking
read
at,
it
yeah,
out,
let them
White
read
it
it
out.
first. I'm happy to make it. I don't know if the,
Something on there.
Kaylee, what if somebody came to you in your district, okay? And I mean, do you think you could correct the problem?
no,
You don't?
I don't. And maybe you can't, I don't think that I could, because I'll tell you why. There's currently still issues that we have. Cats are not supposed to be running free. There's cats everywhere, and they do not take care of them. I have cats constantly pooping in my yard. I have cats. I have cats on my property. I don't want a cat. I would have a cat if I did. Same goes for dogs. They don't keep their dogs on leashes. And one of them, I'll be honest with you, was my grandmother, and her dog died. So I'm not saying I'm glad for that. He was old, but at the same time, you should keep your dog on a leash, or you should keep your dog in. This is the same thing. I make a motion to revoke the permit. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, this guy was like the chief said, he was cited into court, and we brought that back, and we gave him this document here and said, we're going to give you another chance. So now we go back and say, well, we didn't mean that. We're going to give you yet another chance. How many times do we do this, folks? And
I know I'm being
against the
devil's
guy.
advocate, but we did not specify the cleanliness or how the
It
kids
doesn't
should
read
be
that.
cared for.
It
We
doesn't
just
read
said they can only have 2 pigs.
Yeah, I mean,
And I mean,
That's out next to the.
No, but the
Yeah.
ordinance is very,
The
very
nuisance
clear.
ordinance covers.
Okay,
Very
and if it's in our ordinance, then
Oh,
yeah.
it's
I'm
very
sure.
well, if it's in the ordinance, it should have been referred to in that then. and
That's
it
not
wasn't
what
referred
that
to.
portion was about. That portion was about
This-
keeping animals in town that specifically applied to dogs and cats that was made an exception for. There's a caring for animals portion of your animals ordinance that would still apply to pigs.
But was that agreed to with him
It
under
doesn't
that
need to be
ordinance?
agreed to, it's a separate
We
ordinance.
discussed cleanliness and neighbors and everything.
Yeah, I remember
So
us having that
it
conversation.
specifically, the nuisance ordinance
Covered.
covers it. That is the specific exemption that yes, you can have the 2 pigs in town. That was all that was for, so.
And rescue pigs if he lets us know, and as long as it. there's
We have
plan for
we
it.
have a motion on the table to revoke the permission for the pigs. Do we have a second to that motion?
Boy, we've had some tough seconds lately.
Yeah.
So we got a motion, we don't have a second.
So what are you guys gonna
So
do?
what are we gonna do? We're gonna just let him keep doing what he's doing, let Johnny go talk to him and try to talk him down, and then when we do
I
this
don't
third
think it's gonna
time,
make a darn bit of difference. If you go talk to him.
I'm gonna go talk to him and tell him he has to get rid of the pigs.
And-
Well, according to our
But he
ordinance,
no offense,
can,
he's
can
not
we
gonna do it,
find
because that's
him?
like me going to say it.
He's already done
Give
that.
me a chance and I'll come
Well,
back.
we probably
I'll come back
could
and tell you
because
what
of
I
the
think.
poop
Okay.
being dumped.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
kind of a
aside
no-brainer.
from the fact that he's, but how, you guys do whatever you want, you're the
Can I
council.
make a suggestion?
Pretty
Is-
please.
What if we do kind of a final warning saying you have 7 days to clean everything up, and if not at the end of 7 days, it's automatically revoked, get the pigs out within 30 days?
I think it should be 30 days since the 7 days, you already got 7 days in it.
That's a good suggestion, but I really don't think it's any different though, really, because if he's gonna.
Well, it gives him time to clean his mess up, and then we can hold him accountable and say, okay, 7 days are up, get rid of the pigs.
What about when next time Garrett gets another call from this? Is
Because he
that-
still has his
Oh, that's the
exemption.
final warning, so if it happens again,
So,
out.
so what does that do for the mess out in the yard where they go out and poop, and when it gets to be 90 degrees outside, you can probably smell it clear over at the brewery.
Oh my gosh, it's black and white, you guys. He
I-
is going against it. It's that's it. He was given it. He was set. That says what it is.
I'll second Kaylee.
I'd say.
You wanna make a
as
new
much as
motion,
I wanna-
Haley? Because
I make a
that's
motion to
all it is.
revoke
I
the
wanna be
permit.
with this guy, I
I have
can't.
a motion and a second, all in favor,
Aye.
Aye.
motion carries.
I
Thank you.
recuse myself.
Thank you.
'Cause you're
And I've got
big.
nothing against the
No,
guy,
I'm just-
but come
I'm-
on.
You know,
I'm passionate
I-
about pets. I mean,
I feel
I
for
feel
him
bad
and
for
his
that, but
passion.
the guy's been given a
We're taking
chance.
care of them,
He
but
obviously
I
has to
I
take
do
care of
not want it, you know, I do not want it to cause a problem in the community or for us neighbors, but, you know, you and
It was
Kaylee and
next door to
Dwayne
my
are
house.
animal haters, and that's okay.
love
it.
30 days?
Yeah, there is a
Don't ever-
solution.
Yeah.
Don't ever let me see you eating bacon out at any of our fine establishments.
Oh, I'll eat bacon anywhere.
We have a
You're over
motion,
there, I will be
to
bacon
adjourn.
anywhere.
I make a motion to adjourn.
have a motion and a second,
I will second that.
all in favor,
Aye.
thank you. Next meeting's March 10th, 2025.
Hey,
Well,
I forgot how fun these could be.
well.
He
he's in my contingency.
Okay, sorry, you were.
Well, sometimes you gotta set, but you just sit